Hey everybody, and welcome to the first edition of I'd Tap That with Gnarlicide. Today, since I have no direction on where I should start with the first episode of this series, I'm going to start with a deck tech for my own personal deck, my Jund Midrange deck. I'm sure some of you have all seen it on the main menu, on the deck cycle, in a in the feature thread. I like it. It's a really fun build. Some of it was based off of a user named Absolute MTG's Jund Midrange build. I obviously tweaked it up for my meta and my needs. A lot of the cards I pre-ordered ahead of time because I just knew that they would be good. I was a big fan of the old Jund build and I was doing really well with it. I had a lot of successes with it and I really wanted to see if I could keep the steam rolling on it. And to my surprise, it's actually been doing very well in a meta full of mono decks that just come in out of nowhere and win for no reason. This one seems to be holding its own pretty well. So without further ado, we're going to talk a little bit about it, and in a second we're going to also talk about sideboarding because some of the matchups that I have are just really, really good, and I like to bring those up because for some reason, a lot of people wouldn't think so because this is a 3-color deck. Well, I'm here to show you otherwise. So let's get started. The mana base is pretty simple. We're sitting with 12 shocklands. We're obviously not going to be playing them all untapped. That would be really stupid of us, but you do it as you need to. You need to play conservative with these. So we got 4 Blood Crypts, 4 Overgrown Tombs, 4 Stomping Grounds. Underneath here we have 4 Temple of Abandons because scrying is just really good, especially in a 3-color deck where you need to make sure that you have all the lands you need, make sure that you can not get flooded. I believe we're playing with 24 lands here, so you don't want to get flooded, you don't want to be boned on land, so this is a good this deck operates under the premise that you can find it if you need it, you can push it away if you don't need it. We're running 2 forests, 2 mountains, and 4 swamps. Once again, there's a few double black cards in here, there's a few double red cards in here. We need to make sure that we can get them and play them as fast as we possibly can, especially when it comes to our removal. With the old Jund, we had Rakdos Keyrune in it. I think it still is pretty viable to keep around, not necessarily as the reason for what we used to have it for, which was just to have a dude if you needed it, but this is more for like some kind of weird pseudo ramp. It helps, it does its job, it can help us out. If we need that 4th land, if we need the 5th land, we can drop it, we could use it right away and cash out with some removal if we needed to. Which then brings us to our next portion. We're going to talk a little bit about the removal. I play a really heavy removal package with Jund. I stand by it. It helps. It keeps a lot of bad juju away. Starting off, we're sitting with 2 Anger of the Gods over here. Good sweeper against green-white life gain, especially with green-white aggro. It just crushes everything that people can throw out in the beginning turns. And it, especially with the Voice of Resurgence and people playing it, it just exiles it completely and I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about the token it produces. It just, boom, gone. Next card we have is Mizzium Mortars. Mizzium Mortars is a personal favorite of mine. For some reason, I'm running it as a 1-of right now just to make sure that it's still useful. What I'm trying to do is figure out what exactly would replace Bonfire of the Damned, which it doesn't seem like anything will. But Mizzium Mortars is good to have around in case they have a bunch against aggro decks. It wipes their field against black-white, which I don't see a whole lot of, but against black-white I can have a quick, easy answer to Blood Baron. They cast it, my turn, boom, Mizzium Mortars. I don't have to worry about Blood Baron for a little while. I'm sitting with 2 Rakdos' Return. This is normally, I keep 2 main board just in case I happen to run into somebody that wants to keep their hand full of cards or keep some kind of card advantage. If they dump their hand early in game 1, it's just another X spell that I can use to push through that last bit of damage that I might need. I'm not running all 4 Thoughtseizes at the moment just because I could possibly be losing a little bit of life from all these shocklands over here, and I just want to make sure that I don't lose as much as possible in the first 3 turns. That would be really stupid. On top of it, I don't normally like playing Thoughtseize on the first turn anyway. I know a lot of people stand by it, but I refuse to do it. Nothing in your opening hand is really worth taking out. This brings us to our instant speed removal. We have 2 Abrupt Decays. Abrupt Decay is nice. I like it. It destroys things like Ashiok. It destroys Loxodon Smiter. It kills a lot of the smaller dudes, Mana Dorks. Destroys Detention Sphere. I keep 2 around just because you can't counter them. They deal with threats immediately, and they're good to have. I'm sitting with one Doom Blade. I know Mono Black Devotion is pretty big right now, and a lot of people like to play Desecration Demon and Night Veil Spectre. I don't necessarily need to be sitting around with a bunch of Doom Blades in my hand while they're sitting there trying to stomp my face in. That just seems pretty counterintuitive. So I keep one of in there just in case somebody has something that, God damn it, it ain't black. So it helps. I'm also sitting with 3 Heroes Downfalls. I know a couple of the walkers are a thing. A couple of them came back out of nowhere and people liked them all of a sudden. Mostly there for creatures. If I run into Desecration Demon, if I run into a troublesome creature, I have a clean, smooth answer for it that I can just boom, it's gone. I don't have to think about it anymore. I was talking earlier about some scry lands, the 4 Temple of Abandons. I'm sitting with 3 Magma Jets right here, mostly just for some quick 2 damage, maybe to a Mana Dork, but for the most part, if they don't have any out, I go straight for their life totals. Magma Jet, Scry 2, set up my next draw so that I can get something good that I need. Also 1 Putrefy. The Putrefy is there just to make sure that, if they have a black creature, once again, just a clean, efficient answer to something like that. Moving on, we're looking at 3 Desecration Demons over here. This card, when Return to Ravnica was being spoiled, I pre-ordered the shit out of these. And I held on to them. Nobody really wanted them. Nobody cared until one day Theros comes out and everyone goes bonkers, and I've been just trading them away. But I kept 4 for myself. I'm using 3 in this build just because it's effective. It's a big, dumb creature. Nobody really has a way to deal with it just because most of the removal is not going to be able to kill it right away unless you have a Hero's Downfall. So unless you're committed to black, you're not getting rid of Desecration Demon so fast. Along with it, speaking of hard creatures that are difficult to deal with, we have Reaper of the Wilds. There's 3 of also in there. I like their ability to dodge removal by claiming to be hexproof. That's amazing. I love that. There's too many times where I play Reaper, and much like Aetherling, with control players, they'll play Aetherling and leave that 1 mana open. This gets to 6 mana fairly quickly, so I'll play Reaper and just sit on 2 mana and watch somebody's hand twitch a little bit. Just, they want to play their Hero's Downfall. They want to play whatever card they have to kill it, and I'm just kind of sitting there going, come at me, bro, so it's good. Now, with all the removal that I have laying around, I am rocking 4 Scavenging Oozes because I know that things are going to die, and I want to be able to recur some of the life that I lost from things like the shock lands, from things like Thoughtseize. I want to be able to get some of that life back so that I don't have to hurt so much during the mid game. And once again, it's a great early game creature. It's a great mid game creature. I'm never disappointed about it when I draw it up off the top of the deck. It just always makes me pretty happy. I know that good things are going to happen when Scavenging Ooze hits the field. Next card we're going to talk about is Stormbreath Dragon. I'm sitting with 4 of these. Originally I had 2 in the build, and the first Magic tournament that I played with it, the first standard tournament that I played with it, it did a lot of work. Any game that I played it, I won. It was 100% guarantee. I would play it, a turn later, play another land, make it monstrous, win, So I figured, why not have 4? They're amazing. They do the job. And with the ramp, it wouldn't be hard to play it on turn 4. Playing a Stormbreath Dragon on turn 4 against anybody that's running white, green, or Esper is just going to have a bad time. It's nice. And along with it, speaking of ramp, we have our 4 Sylvan Caryatids. That right there is the deck. That's the Jund deck. That's 60 cards. And as you can see, it's got some sweet answers. Some of the best matchups that I have unsideboarded are against green-white aggro, green-white life gain. But coming up next, we're going to talk a little bit about the sideboard and card choices in the sideboard. All right, now this is the sideboard for the Jund deck that I'm running in standard currently. It's pretty self-explanatory. There's some matchups that I have a lot of problems with. Pretty much at this point, anything with Planeswalkers. I did say that Green-Red Devotion was a deck that I could easily beat in the first game. Well, in the second game, I need kind of a win more, and I can't necessarily rely on pulling all 3 of my Heroes Downfalls in the beginning So I keep Pithing Needle in here against those, specifically those planeswalkers that are going to help them ramp, the planeswalkers that are going to help them top deck another creature like a Polykranos. Also, I have Pithing Needle in there against things like Ashiok, against Jace Architect of Thought, Aetherling. Everybody loves playing Pithing Needle on Aetherling. Right below it, we have two more Thought Seizes, just in case I do need to spend some more time ripping out their hand if I know that they've been searching for certain things. We have Slaughter Games. Everybody knows that the main target with that card is Sphinx Revelation. That's specifically why I put it there. That's specifically why it stayed there from the old Jund build, is that Sphinx's Revelation is still a thing, and I don't really need to be sitting around dealing with it. Against anything blue, Mistcutter Hydra, I thoroughly enjoy ramping up a little bit and playing Mistcutter Hydra on turn 4 as a 4/4. Obviously, it can't be countered. It's got haste and pro blue. This was the card that I, against my first mono blue devotion matchup, I play it and swing in, and they just looked at me like, really? You know, and it did the business. It took care of things. Also over here, we have 2 Golgari Charms. I figured out by accident that against green-red devotion, Golgari Charm is my friend on turn 2. It wipes out the mana dorks. I kept it mainly I put it in mainly for mono blue to deal with all the little tokens from Master of Waves. I didn't like the elementals. They pissed me off. They come out and you're just like, fuck, I need to destroy them. But later I found out there's more than one use for it. It took me a couple matches to figure out also that this destroys enchantments. And, you know, there's always the enchantment creatures that, you know, come out. Somebody plays Boon Satyr, and I'm like, oh, hey, more spot removal. This works. Over here, speaking of enchantments and artifact removal and stuff, we have Fade to Antiquity. This is a very, very, very solid, clean answer to anybody playing a god. I stand by Fade to Antiquity. Originally, I had Destructive Revelry in there, but it just wasn't doing the job that it needed to do. And that was mainly just because I was dealing with gods and whatnot. And last but not least, 2 copies of Deathrite Shaman. I originally wanted to keep 4 in the deck, but the only time I found myself really wanting a Deathrite was against Esper control. Just because of all the instants and sorceries that they use, I can always use my Deathrite Shaman as some extra reach to push in some extra damage. And there have been matches in FNMs where Deathrite Shaman has brought down an Esper player to like 8 life. That's it. That's the deck. We have our Jund Midrange and sideboard choices. Leave a comment, and the comment that gets chosen, the first comment that gets chosen, I'll make sure that I set it up with you to deliver 2 Altar Art Doomblades that I've created. I hope you enjoyed it. This is Gnarlicide from Tapped Out, and you've just watched the first installment of I'd Tap That.